What's going on, everyone? So the center position, it's one of the biggest kind of question marks for the Lakers, right? Lakers recently brought in Alex Len, and a lot of people really wanted to see the Lakers kind of be a little more patient with that. Seen a lot of people that have commented, like, why didn't we give him a 10-day or something like that? Because he was signing with Indiana, right? So he's not going to turn down guaranteed money, a guaranteed roster spot, and all that stuff to sign a 10-day with the Lakers to maybe get something, and then Indiana moves on, and now he's cooked. So just something to keep in mind that I just wanted to explain because I've gotten a lot of comments about that. So, yes, Lakers got Alex Len. I want to be fair with Alex Len, right? If you're expecting him to be like a 20-10 guy, you're going to be very disappointed, right? Like, he's always been a guy that's been a backup. He's always been a guy that's been in like limited spots and stuff like that. He's not the guy he was when he was younger. He was actually very athletic, very mobile when he was younger. Now, he's a little more slow-footed. He does still have some value. He is a big physical interior presence that doesn't shy away from the physicality. But he's probably not the answer at the center position, right? Realistically speaking, he was never going to be the answer at the center position. Lakers just needed bodies. Alex Len, you could argue, was probably the best big man on the market at the time for what the Lakers need as far as just like a big physical interior presence. You got the guy in Jaxson Hayes, who's your lob threat, who's the high flyer, who is kind of the Luka guy. And so, again, I want to be fair with Alex Len. He might be trash, right? It might be like, man, this dude's unplayably bad, right? And if that happens, then we'll talk about it, right? But I want to give him more than like, a game or two to figure out and see how he is, right? Let him kind of get comfortable, get his legs under him, understand the system that we're running, kind of see what can Luka and LeBron do with him, right? Because they could maybe make him look much better than he is. But nonetheless, right, my guess is, again, this is just my guess, and it could vary based on matchups, based on teams and who we end up playing against. But I think you'll get Jaxson Hayes starting. He'll probably play around 20 minutes a game, somewhere in that ballpark. I think you'll get Alex Len playing around, maybe 12 to 15 minutes. Let's just call it 15 minutes to be safe. And then I think the Lakers will probably play around like 13 minutes or so, maybe 15 minutes. If it's obviously, if you're playing like the Warriors, I could see them go small ball more. But like I said, around like 12 to 15 minutes of small ball action, right? Where they're just kind of running the big forwards and you got like 5, just 6'7" to 6'9" guys all over the basketball court. It's kind of my guess as far as like the breakdown goes. But there is questions of like, should the Lakers look to bring in another center? They have several guys that they can waive still. You got Markieff Morris, you got Shake Milton, you have Cam Reddish, right? Those are 3 guys that you could waive with no kind of repercussions. Shake Milton has multiple years still on his deal, but they're all non-guaranteed. So you could just kind of non-guarantee those and then waive them. So my guess, they'll probably keep Shake Milton unless they really get that guard that they like. But, they have plenty of forwards. Guard depth, is probably best to have in case, knock on wood. So I imagine Markieff Morris and Cam Reddish would probably be the first ones that they'd waive if they were to waive somebody, particularly for a center. But here's the thing. I don't think adding another center would hurt, but I don't think it's like a major necessity because, again, the Lakers are probably going to run a lot of small ball, and come playoff time, they may just default to that. Right? They might just start Jaxson Hayes and then just go, maybe 25 minutes a game with small ball. Right? Because you look at their small ball is big. Usually when you look at the small ball kind of matchups and stuff like that, it's usually like, 3 6'5" guards and then like 2 6'8" forwards, right? Is usually what it is. For the Lakers, it's literally like, 6'6", 6'7" Luka, and then like a bunch of 6'8", 6'9" guys, right? Like their small ball is big, right? So they do match up really well. And even against like some of the bigger lineups, right? You can kind of offset that with, team rebounding, team defense, right? Having just the length and size out on the perimeter because no one else is really running a bunch of 6'8" guys. Lakers are one of the biggest teams in the league as far as like wing depth goes and just overall size out on the perimeter. The problem is it's just the interior, right? So I do think there's that. You could argue it's better to have an extra center, just to have an extra center and have those 3 guys that you can default to if need be. But if you're going to do that, like who's the center you're bringing in, right? So like you have Jaxson Hayes, right, who's the high flyer guy. You have Alex Len, who's supposed to be the big interior presence, the physical type of center, right? You got those 2 guys. I do think that there is an argument to maybe bring in another, like maybe you bring in like a Trey Jamison, right? just to give you another big physical tank type center. He's also, again, I want to wait and see with Alex Len, but he's seemed to be more mobile, more athletic, better lateral movement than Alex Len. So, maybe he can kind of be the bridge where you get a little Jaxson Hayes, a little Alex Len. That's an option. You can bring in Christian Coloco, who, he's basically a better shot blocking Jaxson Hayes, right? And you could argue in that Utah game, the one that was really bad, he was one of the few bright spots. He was actually very good in that game. And then just gives Luka another guy to default to. I wouldn't hate to see maybe him get some run, him get some burn. Or, you could look to the buyout market, right? There's still guys like Mo Bamba out there, at least at the time of recording this video. Bismack Biyombo is a guy that is... Its 10-day contract is about to expire, which is odd because he won't even play a game for them. I don't think, not even a minute for them, unless they can give him another one. So that's a possibility. But Lakers supposedly have an eye out for him, kind of keeping an eye on him. So maybe the Lakers look at that route. He kind of gives you, he's not a true 7-footer. He's like 6'9", but he is that high flyer shot blocker because he has like a 7'6" wingspan. He has like just this massive wingspan, right? So that is very beneficial for him and kind of like what the Lakers could look at. My thing is just like, again, do you bring in a guy and just not use him, right? But there is the argument it's better to have him and not need him than need him and not have him. Right? So that's something. And ideally, if it was me, I would like a bigger center. I would prefer to bring in Trey Jemison just because of those big matchups, right? If you're going up against OKC, I think you can survive small ball, right? I think you can, survive with Jaxson Hayes. If you're going up against Denver or the Clippers or, some of these teams that have the big physical centers, even like a Memphis team, right? That have like a Zach Edey. Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have multiple kind of big interior centers that you can throw at those guys. So throw in an Alex Len, kind of just have him, be able to match up and kind of wear him down, and then throw in Trey Jemison, and Jemison can be kind of that physical enforcer, give some good hard playoff fouls. You look at kind of like the 2020 roster, for example. You had Anthony Davis, who was your skill big man, right? Skilled center. Could do basically everything out there on the basketball court. How do you offset that, right? What would be this version of that? It'd be the small ball, right? You go with Rui for just a bigger interior, kind of lower center of gravity, kind of, rock guy in the middle, pause, and then have if you want more defensive versatility, you could go with a Dorian Finney-Smith on the interior, right? If you want kind of more playmaking, you could go with LeBron or Luka, right? You have different kind of versions of that you can throw out there. So that's kind of, in my opinion, would be our skill version of that. But then you look at JaVale McGee, right? He was the high flyer shot blocking. He's the Jaxson Hayes type. Obviously, I think JaVale McGee at that point was better than Jaxson Hayes is right now, but that's your best similarity. That's your best comparison. And then Alex Len as your Dwight Howard, I don't like, because he's not afraid of the contact. He doesn't shy away from the contact, but Dwight was just a tank, right? And he loved being physical. He loved giving, good hard fouls, nothing dirty, right? But you would get the flagrant or the technical here and there, right? He was regular about that. But you look at a guy like Trey Jemison, I think he's a closer comparison to a Dwight, right? Always loves to stir the pot, right? Getting a little bit of a squabble, right? He's a guy that you could see giving the good hard playoff foul, might end up getting a flagrant or two. I mean, he's already gotten them, right? He's going to give, the hard foul. Again, nothing dirty. I don't want to see anybody getting their legs swept under them or anything like that. But when you get to the playoffs, right, let's bring back the 80s a little bit. How are you going to beat some of these teams? Getting physical. Right, being just physically imposing with your size, that's how you're going to beat a lot of these teams, right? So if the Lakers can kind of establish that, that's why I don't hate the idea of bringing in a Trey Jemison, right? A Bismack Biyombo kind of just gives you a better shot. I'd almost rather bring in a Coloco, right? Just because he's a guy that you're interested in long term. How long are you keeping Biz around? I mean, I wouldn't hate Biz. He's bigger. He's got more weight to him. right? He's a little more physical in presence, better shot blocker. You could argue for his experience and just him being that vet, but I don't think a center right now is the biggest priority, just because I think the Lakers are going to go small a ton. And I think you're going to, in the time that you're not small, you're going with Jaxson Hayes. And then when you need kind of like that big interior guy, you're going with Alex Len. It's kind of my thoughts. Again, I wouldn't hate it, right? If we got news that like the Lakers went and brought in Bismack Biyombo or something, like I wouldn't be like, oh, like what are the Lakers doing? I don't hate it on like a 10-day. Like if you want to use your 10 days to kind of bring a guy in, bring in a center and kind of get a look at him, fine, do it. Makes sense. Let's see it. Make it happen, right? But beyond that, I'd rather be patient. If nothing presents itself that makes more sense, right? Then fine. Then yeah, get to waive a guy or two, bring in Jordan Goodwin, bring in whatever, a Biz or a Jemison or something like that, and then let's go for the playoffs. But let me know your thoughts and opinions either way. I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.